Good afternoon, everyone. This is Anthony, Wall Street Trader. It's 12:51 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday. Happy Friday, May 21st, 2021. This is not financial advice, educational only. Trade at your own risk. Speak to a financial advisor. Do your own due diligence. All that's cool stuff. And then, by the way, intraday updates. If you want to click on that Twitter link below, you will get intraday updates of my entry exit points as well as my, updates on major market moves where it is relative to the stuff I'm covering here. Also, I would strongly recommend you stay up to date with my videos if you're interested. I will be revealing a new cryptocurrency that I'll talk about this weekend as well. Anyway, let's move forward. So the graph allocation. All right, so still at these price entry points here. My current position in the graph is at 117 and 107, and that was before the complete dive that Bitcoin made. But it had hit my scenarios originally. So now where are we now? So I actually have a couple of more scenarios that have just popped on my radar in terms of what I think. And we'll go through these on the chart. It's a lot easier to do it over there. Anyway, the first scenario is that the strength of the graph crosses or hits 2050, right? It's on the low end of that. We'll go through that on the graph. And condition two is Bitcoin hitting 30K and the graph relative to Bitcoin remains under 2,200. Now, a couple of things I want everyone to understand. Why do I talk about this? What is that? That long acronym is the graph relative to Bitcoin, and people need to understand what that represents because it's one of the most important of these three. Now, what are these three? Well, the graph, and I have to beat this through everyone's head. The graph is equal, the graph in US dollars is equal to the benchmark Bitcoin multiplied by the graph strength compared to Bitcoin. So these are the acronyms that relate to each. And the reason why I want to put this out here is what people don't understand is Bitcoin is the benchmark. It's in every one of any one of the cryptocurrency equations that you put here. You could put New Cipher, you could put RLC, you can put whatever you want here, but this will always be in this equation, always. Now, so the graph US dollars equal to the Bitcoin benchmark multiplied by the strength of the graph to Bitcoin, right? So, and the reason why I like these two is that these two ultimately are drivers or inputs into the outcome of the graph. And it's important to know because a lot of people I see, on these YouTube channels, they're always talking about just looking at it in isolation, and that's not how you're supposed to look at it. In fact, this is almost an output. There's a lot of leading indicator clues you can get out of the Bitcoin benchmark and the graph relative to Bitcoin. And by the way, this is the bigger impact on the final product, the graph, because Bitcoin isn't as volatile as the altcoin world, right? So this is where you want to really take a look at, as well as the Bitcoin, for sure, because they both constitute contribution into the final product, being the graph. Anyway, so this is where you look for clues in the charts, and that's why I look at these charts more so than I actually look at the output. We'll go through that in a minute. Why don't we just go straight into the charts first? And note that the graph right now is at 79 cents. I saw it going to 90 yesterday. I was like scratching my head. Do I go into it? You know what? I kept the emotion on the side. I said, screw it. I'm not going to do it. I'll tell you why in a second. So remember, this is the output. So you can find stuff out here, but it's not a perfect science either. You go to the graph Bitcoin, right? Let's go over here. I actually have it. So we see that this thing has been bouncing off of, we said 2,500 and 2,000. This is kind of the range where we see proper resistance and support action, right? We don't have much to go on, but this seems to be where it's at. And this channel has been kind of forming from back here, early January. So it's at least 4 or 5 months in motion. So we're happy about that. So let's let this continue down. We're in the middle of 20 and 2,500, between 2,000 and 2,500. So we're at 2027 right now. Key. All right, let's go further into what's going on with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin also has a major contribution here. Where does it have a major contribution? Well, right now, like I mentioned yesterday, we're bouncing in between 45 and 47. And that's okay. We want that. We want that to consolidate a little bit. But then in the video I put out this morning to my New Cipher crew, I had put out a video talking about where I think, the broadening wedge. In fact, I actually put this video out last night for New Cipher crew because I do 2 of those videos a day. So my point here is, if you look at what's going on here, this is a downward broadening wedge. This is a very bullish sign, by the way. This means that technically we should be coming out of this thing like a bat out of hell. Technically, the odds are with us. It doesn't mean that they always happen that way. So, like, don't think that everything happens exactly the way you think it's going to happen. It doesn't always happen that way. But generally speaking, these patterns typically result to the upside. Normally somewhere between here, 50, and there, 58. But we're still in the broadening wedge on the downside, right? Once this is done, we should see it start to rise. I don't know how far down this will go. It could be a mini impregnated broadening wedge within a bigger broadening wedge, which is the green, or it could be the bigger broadening wedge. If it's the bigger broadening wedge, which is the broadening wedge in green, then we could see this thing really kick up. The bigger the broadening wedge on the downside means the upside sling is a lot hotter and a lot more stronger. So anyway, that's kind of how that goes. So I just want everyone to understand this. So basically what I'm saying is, if we can get down to 2050 over here, we're at 2117, I will start adding more positions into the graph. That will mean, and Bitcoin, I don't really care where that is at that point in time. So taking a look back over here in terms of the scenarios I mentioned, we hit 2050 on that one slide on that one chart that I just showed you. We get down here, I'll buy this, right? And the other thing is, if Bitcoin hits 30,000, I don't think that it's going to hit 30,000, but you never know. With this broadening wedge, the way it's starting to appear, it very well could, because this is the Bitcoin broadening wedge. It is a bullish signal again. I don't want to scare anyone, but it could tank first and then resolve back to the upside. So anyway, keep your eye on this. Keep your eye on Twitter. Look out for the video tomorrow. I will reveal which cryptocurrency I'm covering next. All the best.